like as a performer, as a musician, he was fearless. He could perform at the Opera House. You know, he would go up and perform, and that's something amazing about him. It's just that he was fearless.
If there was a mic available and he could get to it, he would grab it and sing. And, you know, if we were somewhere where there was like a band, he'd somehow get involved in there.
I don't think he, you know, some people get butterflies when they have to do like, but he was very comfortable performing in front of people and making people happy, and yeah.
His work colleagues, who I know personally, told me that during COVID, he would record videos, like musical videos, and send it to all his colleagues. And that's like a really fond memory they all have.
I feel that, you know, my father's passed on, and people should know what kind of a man he was and how dear he was to us. He was a very special man, and he was a very holy man, and he was, you know, his friends used to call him a mudrec, like kind of like King Solomon, like he had a lot of wisdom. And he would share that with me, and he would share that with my mum and our family, and people just went to him with questions.
And he listened. That was the difference. He didn't just nod and smile. He listened.
I think that's a good point. I think that's a very good point. He was probably one of the best listeners that I know. He was a very, very good listener.
He heard you.
He heard you, he listened to you, yeah.
He was always positive though. I can be a bit of a whinger. And if I would whinge to him about something, he'd turn it around into a positive thing, and we'd end up laughing.
There's a line from a song by Benny Friedman. It says, "The world is more than just a silver lining. It's a golden world created just for you." So I think that was the case with my father. He saw a golden world, and
as you can see, the music lives on through his children.
Yeah. We'll continue to sing and to memorialize my father, and yeah. Nie boюсь я никого и не верю никому, только Богу одному. My father died celebrating his Judaism. He came there to celebrate light and happiness, and so my father died the way he lived.
We grew up in London, and I was like the older sister. There's 9 of us. Ellie was much younger than me. I don't know if it was where he was in the family, genetic, I don't know, to be honest with you. There's 9 of us, and we were always like, Ellie's the one. Ellie's the peacemaker. Ellie's the calm one. I have an issue, let me go to Ellie. He was that person. And we spoke about it when he was alive as well. His personality is very sentimental. His whole life was revolved around his family, our family, and the extended family. For me, there was a lot of roles that he played in my life, and besides for being that one, you know, the one that was compassionate or the listening ear, he had so much depth. He was also hilarious. He would learn a lot of Torah. He would be doing a lot of outreach. He did hospital visitations, prison visitations, and he would come here and just be silly and hilarious. And if we were serious, he was serious. But for the most part, life was never taken too seriously, ever. He had a very, very tight relationship with all my kids. He was able to relate to the teenagers. He would annoy them about things that were true that they needed to hear that I wouldn't say because I was too scared. And he would just, like, he had a lot of, we say chutzpah, like he was cheeky, like he had no filter, he would just say it. He would say it with love. He just got away with everything because of who he was.
What do you remember about that day?
Oh my goodness. Ellie popped in to my house as usual. And it was interesting because he's been doing this event for the last 18 years, and he was handing it over to his brother-in-law. And I think because his roles kind of shifted, So he was very involved, but this was the first year where he wasn't running around schlepping chairs and dragging stuff an hour before the event. He actually came over to us and we gave him a donut for Hanukkah. And I think he was kind of sharing with my husband on that he was having a really hard time letting go of it. It's always been his event. He wanted it to go the way it should go, and it had been in the past. And then he took my son with him, Yankee, the 13-year-old, to go and volunteer there. And I was like, bye, see you soon. That was it. That was his life. It was just always including, made everything so much fun.
Yeah.
Like my son was going to work, but if it was with Ellie, it was fun. And he just had a way of enticing the kids. Like, you know, everything was just like attractive. Like, you're going with Ellie, you're gonna have a good time. You know? You're going with Ellie, you're gonna do something fulfilling.
My dad, Reuben, had the most incredible, joyous, happy energy. When he would walk into a room, you would feel it. Everyone would smile. Everyone would just go in, get a bear hug from him. And just a real burst of positive energy. My dad had a really quick, sharp sense of humor, really quick wit. When he would relay a story, he would say it in such an animated way. He'd have everyone in stitches. The way that he would sort of sit at the table with a twinkle in his eye and sort of add a comment to a serious situation that just made everyone laugh. My dad, still in his later years, was a grandpa that loved being with kids. He had such an imagination. He could get down on the floor, play with them in real time, and they just felt his real energy and joy and happiness and just being plain silly, getting in cardboard boxes and making pretend cars and just playing doctor. My kids covered my dad in Band-Aids and he just went along with everything. When I had my twin girls, which was my first experience as a mother, my dad purchased walkie-talkies and he lived right across the road from us. So he said, don't even bother picking up the phone to call me. You got a walkie-talkie, got a straight line, you need anything, 3 o'clock in the morning, we'll be right over. And they were. My dad's final moments on Bondi Beach that were caught on camera from many angles, not just him throwing the brick, but actually staring down that terrorist and moving him away from the crowd and diverting him and doing everything he could and absolutely swearing at them as well, was just who my dad was. What we saw was of no surprise, and there's no moment in me that sort of questions my dad and what he was doing, because I truly believe that he was in control the whole time. He was calm, he was calculated, and he knew that he needed to do everything he could to protect his community and the people that he loved. And he gave his life for it, and he did that willingly. He loved everyone, and he was also a massive protector, and he would do anything for the people that he loved the most. So he was a papa bear, and he was a bear. So he was a fighter in that sense as well. So he always stood up for the underdog and protected the vulnerable and ensured that he had such a strong moral compass, and he ensured that the right thing was being done by everyone.
Well, you're talking about someone who was irreplaceable. So Yaakov, actually, before anything else, Yaakov was actually my student. His personality then was very similar to his personality later. He was sort of the guy who, if a new student turned up, you know, he would show them the ropes, he would show them where to go. You know, we're talking about students from overseas who would come for short periods to learn. And you know, he was the person who would make sure that everybody felt comfortable and had everything that they needed. There are people who just make you feel comfortable. You feel comfortable around them. You feel like you could just be natural, you can be yourself, you can just be open. And Yaakov was definitely that kind of person. So it was always great having him around. He was a very practical person. He knew what it took to make something happen. And when I say practical, I don't mean in a pessimistic sense. You know, hearing some wild idea and saying it can't be done. Hearing an idea and thinking, okay, in order for this to be done, these are the steps that are going to have to be taken. And I think more often than not, that would involve all kinds of skills that maybe whoever he was dealing with didn't necessarily have. And often, I think he himself would acquire those skills. You know, that's sort of where he came from as a person. And more often than not, looking to help other people. Looking to help other people for purely altruistic motives. He shared his office with other people, also purely out of kindness. Other people needed a space to work. He didn't need the exclusive, privilege of having his own private office. He shared it with someone else. What's the lesson they could take from his life? I think the lesson is what it means to be a true friend. What it means to be a true friend, to be properly sensitive to the needs of others, and to put yourself on the line for others, and to, in a way, even anticipate what other people might need and the ways in which you could help them, which maybe they're not even aware of, or perhaps they're not going to communicate explicitly. Not to do things to win the approval of others, just to be genuine, to be honest, and to look out for others, to be loyal as a friend.